Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eirik Arnesen, welcome into my studio in Florence, Italy. Today we are forging on with our portrait sculpture of the Venerable Stefano. This is episode 3, so check out episode number 1 and 2 before diving into this one if you haven't already. Let's get into it. Since we added width last time, I want to begin today by getting back to my profile and re-establish good drawing. Addition of width has a tendency to degrade the specificity of your drawing. By drawing, I'm essentially talking about mark making with clay or drawing in the clay, which we've done all over our work, of course. The placement of the back of the nostrils, now that's drawing. The placement of the back of the mouth, the corner of the mouth, that's drawing. What we accomplished when we built the profile, that's essentially drawing. It's drawing with the clay in space, but in essence, there is no difference between drawing with a pencil and drawing with clay. It's all mark making, albeit in different materials. As width is added, unless you are very careful, specificity tends to be degraded. That's, however, only one reason you should return to the profile, in my opinion. As width is added, more of our context becomes visually apparent to us. We can see more and comparing becomes much easier as our sculpture begins to approach our subject in likeness. This is when it becomes easy to become satisfied and happy that we got our work to look like our model or look a little bit like our model. But it is at this moment you should stop and catch yourself. Instead of looking at things like that, how much alike the two are, take a look at how different they are. The context becoming clearer has two potential outcomes depending on your disposition and your outlook. Satisfaction might be one. The other, and the one we should choose as representational artists, is discontent. Discontent is going to be much more useful to us because it serves as a propellant. We can now drive ourselves towards achieving more. So with context more clearly established, with the visual gap between model and sculpture somewhat narrowed, we have gotten closer, but we are not content with where we are at. This is a good place to be, by the way. The best practice, in my opinion, when working with portraiture is to take the beginning of the day to re-establish the drawing from the profile view. This means rechecking the height and depth of the profile, the height and the depth of every feature, all the angles between elements, or at least as many as you can think of, and continuing to develop the light and shadow relationship between forms and shapes. Of course, double-checking everything might or might not be strictly necessary. I don't keep a running list of every decision I've made, and so I probably don't end up double-checking everything. But I try to continue to improve everything that I've already established. A little more complexity is slowly added as well. As the work continues to improve, I reach a point where the information present cannot be made better or has served its purpose. Essentially served the intended purpose for the stage that I'm at. At this point, more complex information or more sensitive information can be included and the work progresses further and further towards specificity. Trying not to be generic, but specific, is really my end goal, or at least partially my end goal. We want really specific information specific to our model, of course. This we cannot achieve right away, but we have to work towards it. In this way, we could say that accuracy is not really achieved until the very end. Accuracy is more accumulative. It's something that happens because of everything else. Hopefully. Knowing that our end goal of accuracy is accumulative gives me some breathing room at this moment. I don't really need to be that accurate to my model necessarily at this time. I need to be headed far enough down that path, however, so that towards the end, we're going to get there. And I think this becomes a big problem for people, balancing this need for accuracy at any given point in time. More often than not, the accuracy is not present early enough. The work lingers or is progressed towards completion in a very generalized state. This generalized state often persists until the bitter end, where shooting for accuracy doesn't happen as easily anymore. The end result is more often than not a decent sculpture, competent perhaps even, but not a sculpture that's very specific to the subject, which to me is partially the point of studying from a model to begin with. We're not making a head in general here, we're trying to make Stefano's portrait. However, I'll continue the tradition of disagreeing with myself or abandoning a point I just made right after I made it. So here we go. Accuracy, or likeness, is probably not the most important criteria in terms of success. Structure, gesture, and proportion being, to me, much more important than likeness. Likeness is kind of in the secondary circle of importance, together with anatomy and character. I think perhaps of those three, it is the least important, even less so than anatomy and character. However, by achieving the three in the inside circle, structure, gesture, and proportion, you are already going to be long way down the road towards achieving likeness. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, consider liking it and subscribing to the channel for more videos. I put out a new video every Thursday, so stay tuned for next week. If you want to support the channel, watch the full 1 hour video, which this is an excerpt from, filled to the brim with instruction and in-detail descriptions of what is going on. Visit the link to my Patreon page in the description below the video to learn how. Until then, stay creative, and I hope to see you in the next one.